All right, everybody. Here we are in for our first meeting of the Global Bridge Leaders. I am Kenneth Correa, and joining me today is my fellow friend, James Hennis. Welcome, James. You're in the show.
Thank you, Kenneth. I appreciate you having me here today. It's an honor. I'm looking forward to sparking up some energy for not only ourselves, but for others that come into our room today. So, if you want me to go ahead and tell me about myself, I can tell you about myself, or do you want me
Yes,
to
I'd
wait?
love it. Let's do that.
Okay.
Since it's our first episode, I'll introduce myself and hand it off to you in a second. So I'm Kenneth Correa. I am an entrepreneur from Brazil, have been working for the past 20 years with emerging technologies. Of course, Correa is a Portuguese origin name, it's a Brazilian name, but Kenneth is English because I have some American roots in my family. I have had a contact with the English language since I can remember. I think I learned both Portuguese and English at the same time as a kid. And James, I will tell you that for me, professionally speaking, personally speaking, uh, regarding my reading list as of books, the songs I have always heard, and the movies that I like to watch and TV shows, English was always my main preferred language. And I think somehow that changed my mind into not only the content I have been fed with. Now this is what I'm watching, this is what I'm hearing. Actually, this changes the way we look at the world. So, being from Campo Grande, a small city in the middle of South America, for our listeners, because I know James has a connection with Campo Grande himself,
Yeah.
this part of having a different mindset in a small town, I think made like huge difference for me. And as of right now, I am my company is 16 years old. I have 95 employees. We work with large profile projects for large profile customers. Those are the largest companies in the world that have operations in South America. The company is called 80/20 Marketing. And I also written and published a book about artificial intelligence, which is going to be our main topic for today's show, which is called Cognitive Organizations. We're going to be talking about it for a few seconds. And now, for our first show, I'll hand it off to my very good friend, James Hennis.
Thank you, Kenneth. Man, you know, it's people like you that make me think we should always travel more. My story is really about expanding my perspective and learning, mostly starting after I was able to leave my small Mississippi home where I was born and raised. My dad was an entrepreneur. He worked with the farming industry. And so we served different farmers throughout South Mississippi. And I was taught at an early age that a healthy customer is a healthy business. And with that mindset, I have been marching forward my entire life towards entrepreneurship. But really, the thing that we want to talk about today is how important it is to continue our learning process. Kenneth talks about learning English and how it transformed his life. Well, I want to fast forward a bit. I moved to Brazil or traveled to Brazil the first time when I was only 20 years old. So it's been around 25 years ago. I first went to Brazil. I was then introduced to a new culture and, of course, a new language. And yes, it's a bit frightening when you step into a place and everybody is speaking in words that you don't understand. There is nothing that I can tell you more gratifying than be able to communicate effectively in another language, because it's not just the language that you're learning. You're learning how to connect with new cultures, new ideas and thoughts that maybe never were birthed where you were actually born. And so I moved to Brazil around 2011 to officially become an ESL instructor, English as a second language. I absolutely became enamored by teaching. The more I taught, the more I learned. I was teaching professors, doctors, and other individuals that were 14, 15, 16-year-old age how to speak in English. Mostly what we were doing was teaching people how to think. And as Kenneth says, his world changed when he started learning English at a higher level. And I want to let you know today that as you expand your ability to not only communicate in English, you're expanding your ability to communicate with new technologies, as Kenneth is going to bring today. There's a lot of things that we are not aware of because of our limited perspective. And today, what we want to bring to you is how important it is to continue to learn and grow. If you're going to be a leader in your field, you've got to take the initiative. You got to do it when it's not easy. You got to do it when it's not convenient. You have to show up every day. And as a leader, which we're speaking to you guys today, we're hoping that we can help you to understand how important it is to stay abreast, stay alert of the latest tech trends that are happening. They will absolutely empower you and help you to go to that next level.
And
again,
James,
about myself,
let me try to add to a point here, which is, of course, whenever the tech revolution began, we can trace it back maybe to 40 or 50 years ago with the personal computer. But I think we can go as far as the Industrial Revolution some 150 years ago, which is usually knowledge and technology, both are created on top of the previous generation of technology. But the thing that has been happening is the period between this generation is turning shorter. The kind of revolution we have now with generative AI in the past 2 years and a half, I'm using ChatGPT's birth date of November 30th, 22. In 2 years and a half, almost 3 years now, what happened in this period is a lot faster as of new developments, new ways of thinking, new technologies as products, new products coming out. And in a space where things are happening that fast, staying abreast, staying up to date is even more important, right?
Yeah.
Because the feeling that we have, and we have to take care of our anxiety, I'm talking about mental health here, is if you try to stay on top of everything that's happening, even if you got 24/7, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, you're never catching up. So being able to have good sources of information. And again, I love Portuguese. I'm a Brazilian, but Portuguese represents some 11% of the internet's content. 80% is English. So everything is created in English first. It's very improbable that you're going to thrive and succeed, at least in the global space, if you don't have a connection with that language, right?
That makes absolute sense. You made me think about a metaphor. Like everybody knows has seen a fire break out, like even it may be in a pasture growing or a wildfire. And the wildfire is AI. It's the technology. It's going. Don't go out there trying to put it out with a little stick and stay on top of it, as you said, because that's not going to happen. We want to help you reframe, readdress the circumstance and adjust, and know by just starting today, becoming more aware of what's happening. You don't need to chase the fire, but you can learn how to control it.
That's amazing, James. And I spent the last 3 weeks in the Silicon Valley, that's San Francisco Bay Area in California. And of course, the purpose of my visit was exactly to try, again, always a trying tentative, to follow the trends from up close, to be where the magic is happening, to be close to Stanford University, where most of those models were created in the past 30, 40 years, to be close to the companies, not only big sharks like Google and Meta and Apple themselves, but also the small startups that are making a big change in this space. And I'll tell you something. I visited 2 high-profile startups, both of them who got a lot of funding, and guess what? With Brazilian founders.
Oh, wow.
So they were from Brazil, but somewhat, they understood that they needed to move to the Valley. They needed to be in San Francisco to make stuff happen. But now, what if they didn't know how to speak English? Crew AI being one of those companies, $60 million funding. The founder, international experience as a leader, very good English speaker.
Wow.
Samba Nova, a 7-year-old company. They have been working with AI even before it was a thing. It was the thing, let's call it like that. Founder called the company Samba Nova. That's a mixture between samba and bossa nova. You get it? Those are international words, but they have an origin back in Brazil. Founder, English speaker, global experience working at Oracle, or another behemoth in the technology market. So it's very, I'm happy as a Brazilian to see my fellow countrymen being able to get as far as those guys are as of right now. But again, English being like this very important turnkey for that career move.
This is amazing what you said. It goes back to you are who you surround yourself with, right? And if you want to be in a place truly that you want to go, you find other people who are already there and get yourself around them. And for people thinking about English as this cool trend or it makes me look smarter, I think it's more important to just be focused on something that you want to do and become. Look at each language as a tool in your toolbox. Don't think about the language as something you have to do, but think about the language as something that gives you leverage, gives you the ability to push yourself further into the direction where you're already are going. Even pieces, even the mindset that it's a piece of technology. It's literally can change your entire world by changing the words that you are thinking in. And I know for without a doubt, by stepping back into Brazil, immersing myself in the Brazilian language, it's opened my doors up tremendously. It's extremely rewarding. There's no way to explain it other than imagining that you have the ability to dream bigger, dream more. You have the ability to connect with people, build relationships that you couldn't do before. Think of all the benefits that can possibly come along with this. Using AI and tech is already plenty enough, but I promise you there will be more fruits that you'll get to eat as you pursue this dream moving forward.
Completely agree. You know, Global Bridge Leader is an initiative that James and I started this 2025, where we're gathering those leaders together. It's a WhatsApp community. So we gather connection in a group. We're speaking 100% English in that group. We have people from 4 different countries participating. And one of our friends at the community, Adriano, hit me back in private because he said he has been having some issues with being hired. He lives in Spain. He's from Brazil. He's been living in Spain. And he was having a hard time with employers because of his English. Mm-hmm. He was participating in some selection processes. And once it gets to the interview, that's when he froze, right? Yeah. So now he's doubling in on his English learning. He's going to online classes. He's participating on the group. He's watching us right now here. And he always tells me, James, that the thing that is very hard for him is the listening. Because on the previous interviews, he was like getting one or other word from what the interviewer was saying. And he was trying to make a sense of that. He's a very smart guy. But again, of course, the employer could figure it out that he was not speaking. I mean, that his answers were not connected to the question exactly. So one of the very important parts of being in a community is the idea that you're listening to people, native people like yourself, which is awesome, being from America, but also listening to people from other countries who are, like I am right now, trying to speak some English, right? Because it's not always going to be that perfect Duolingo scenario in dictation, right?
Right.
So this is what I wanted to point out.
It's so important for people to remember that you don't worry about being perfect, that you're not ever going to have perfect English, and you might as well just throw that out the door, just like my perfect Portuguese. Forget about it. There's a secret to success, and it is failure is a stepping stone to build the bridge. It's that simple. Every time you mess up, it's okay, but try to learn from it. Try to understand, what did I say wrong? How to pronounce the word wrong? Or what can I do better? But even then, if you mess up 10 times, it's okay with language. Nobody's going to kill you.
And Jay, we're taking questions. So for anyone watching us right now, please use YouTube comments to send us some questions. But I will ask you, James, because I know you got people curious. Say something in Portuguese so they can listen to you working that, making it happen in Portuguese. What could you say in Portuguese?
Oi, pessoal, tudo bem? Bom dia. Espero que vocês estejam bem. Bem-vindo para nosso canal de Global Bridge Leaders com Kenneth Correia. Meu nome é James Hennis, eu estou nos Estados Unidos, nasci no estado do Mississippi e morei em Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul por 4 anos consecutivos.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so this is an American trying to speak Portuguese so that you guys understand that as Portuguese speakers, native Portuguese speakers, when we start speaking English, that's the difference that you can, of course, feel and understand that the person is not native in that language. But I'm pretty sure you could understand 100% of what he said. And se eu começar a falar em português, também sei que o meu amigo James vai prestar mais atenção, as pupilas vão dilatar e ele vai entender exatamente o que eu estou falando aqui. Right, my friend?
Com certeza, absolutamente.
That's it. That's great. And then I think we could jump into the topic of the moment that everybody has been listening about and waiting for, which is, of course, AI. And I know you, James, my friend, have been messing up with ChatGPT since it came out back in 2022. I know you have your personal account. I know you use it a lot, but I would like for you to talk about the books you are writing, the book you're writing, and your experience. And please give us the full, honest case about it. Don't need to say only positive stuff about using ChatGPT to help you out writing the book.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it goes back, like you said, to 2022. You gotta become curious about something, you know. And there's a phrase that I always say: you don't have to be great to get started, but you gotta get started if you're ever going to be great. And this is something that we need to remember. You don't start out mastering a tool. You start out tripping on it, falling on it, fumbling on it, whatever you have to, just to get familiar with it. Like, imagine if you're going to swim and you never swam the first time in your life, you're going to put your toes in the water and you're going to back off, but eventually you're going to build your confidence. You got to have the courage to start, but you got to have confidence to build, to move forward. And so I started writing speeches for a local Toastmasters organization, which is an international organization. As a desire to become a professional speaker, I put myself around people who had been doing so. And when I started doing that, I had to focus really hard on what I was going to say. I started using AI to generate ideas for my speech. It was phenomenal. What a confidence booster, because the time that I needed to enter a speech contest in one case was 1 month away. And I needed to write 6 speeches and give 6 speeches within a month that all won an award to advance to the next level. Without the help of AI, my friends, it would not have happened. It would not have happened. But what did that birth? By me advancing and going forward in this speech contest, what do you have to do to go higher? You have to practice. And what do you do to go higher? You have to practice. And so your ideas get better. So there's no such thing as I'm going to get all my ducks in a row, I'm going to get everything perfect, and I'm going to start. What's going to happen is you're going to start and you're going to mess up, and then you're going to get better. And if you're willing and have the courage to accept defeat, you're going to take it and you're going to the next level. And when I was going higher into the next level, I became aware of my own personal story, even more so. And that birthed a phrase.
No, James, let me interrupt you. So
Yeah.
what you're telling me is by talking to ChatGPT, exchanging ideas, trying to brief it with information and get ideas for titles of chapters and stuff, you're telling me that you learned more about yourself? Please delve further into that.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to think about this. This is not Google. It's like talking to a very intelligent friend. Okay. But like any conversation, you have to be a good listener. And when you listen, then you ask better questions as you continue to progress, right? So you develop a relationship with your tools. You learn them by practicing how they think, and then you teach them how you are. So the tools have the capacity to learn your personality, your style, and with that in mind, it's inspiring. Don't think you got to figure it out on the first day, though. You know, it's a
Yeah.
process. It took me months and months and months of practice, but I did it in my 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, or sometimes I hit an hour, whatever. But you learn to use the tools for other things. But in this particular process here, it evolved until I was able to see, wow, I've got a hold of my hands, a phrase here that I can turn into a book. I can bring to the world an insight that was really sitting in my subconscious mind that AI was able to bring to the forefront. Because I don't know about you guys, but I don't have 20 people around listening to me that are super intelligent all the time. But with the help of AI, that's kind of what you have. And if you really want to be able to pull out of your own mind your ideas and thoughts and structure them, it's a no-brainer to push this forward. And now I'm about to finish my book. I get the ideas. Again, there's no replacement for you. Again, this is a tool. I'm a photographer. A camera is a piece of equipment and technology that records an image. But the story and the perspective that computer is telling is uniquely mine. And so think about the fact that the AI is not replacing you. It's enhancing you. It's taking you to a new level. It's bringing out the best in you, not making you the best, but it's bringing out the best version of yourself. So
And
I
James,
feel like that's happening with me right now.
yeah, and let me add to that. I don't know if you will remember, but by the time you left Campo Grande back to the US, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'm a little bit
It's
lost.
already been 7.5.
Whoa,
Yeah.
man. Okay, all right. 7.5 years ago, James had to leave back to the US, and he was working for a company, a construction company in Brazil. They're big, work countrywide, doing some drone footage. So he was recording images by the use of his drone for a new building that was beginning construction. Now he was hired by this company, and he had to leave it right in the middle. So he called me and said, Kenneth, can you get somebody to continue that work? And I said, all right, sure. And then I invited this guy over to take the rest of the images that they needed, different angles and all that. But when I sent that to that client, the client said, why are the images so different? What happened between the first batch and the second batch? Now, the client didn't know that those were different artists, right? Because again, the drone was the very same model. The technical specs were the same. The ability, the focus, it was all the same. But what James mentioned, which is absolutely applied to AI, is the person behind the wheel, the person behind the controllers, the person behind the lens is what makes 95% of the difference in that case. So this is a real case. It's a different tool. We're talking about drones, but it's exactly the same metaphor we can use for this AI moment. And I will tell you, James, that some people will prefer ChatGPT, other will like Google Gemini, other will go with Microsoft Copilot or China's DeepSeek, which has grown a lot.
Yep.
But the thing is, what changes is the person behind the wheel.
I know it's really fascinating to me that people want to think that they're going to approach using AI and it's just going to work for me. It's going to automate me. It's the same thing as always. It's new technology. It's the most advanced technology, but the same thing applies. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out every single time. That part hasn't changed and will not change for the foreseeable future. So we're here really to encourage you, to move forward. And we want this to be a place where you feel comfortable, a safe place where you know that you get to see somebody who has failed over and over and over again with Brazilian Portuguese, has failed over and over again with a lot of things, but is able to get up and go again. And because of that, we're here to support you. This is a safe environment where you get to learn and grow without having to worry about, getting punched. We're here to help you, and we want you to succeed. And with that being said, Kenneth is somebody who just loves to show the latest, and has a great capacity to explain how these tools can apply to help solving your problems as you try to build your bridge into the global community and global world. And I'm here because I want you to know that I really appreciate anybody that's trying to learn another language. And I understand that if you're not confident, or if you have vergüenza and shame, I understand the splinter that it is. And I know how to pull it out of your brain so that you don't have it anymore. It's really easy. And once you pull that out, once you make that switch, your whole life will turn around really fast, or you may just be able to advance forward. So we're really excited about being here.
That's awesome. And let me tell you a story. Since I mentioned being behind the wheel and AI, I will tell you a story about Waymo. Waymo is a project by Google. They have been developing this project for 10 years now. It's an autonomous driving car, which works as a ride-hailing app. What I mean by that is Uber without the driver. So now we're talking about not having somebody behind the wheel.
Right.
Again, when we talk about artificial intelligence, there is an 80-year-old science called artificial intelligence. It was first mentioned in New Hampshire, the United States, in a meeting. They mentioned the idea of a computer trying to copy how a human person behaves and acts and takes and makes decisions. Now, what happened is generative artificial intelligence, or generative AI, is a much newer branch. We're talking about ChatGPT as a product, but this is a technology called a large language model. This is some 8 or 9 years old as of right now. But when I talk about a car without a driver, you're not using generative AI. You don't want the driver to be creative. You don't want the driver to be suggesting alternative routes. What you really want is safety. You want reliability. You want to get as fast as you can and alive from point A to point B. But now the difference, when you are in San Francisco, they are actually operating 4 cities. It's San Francisco, LA, Phoenix, Arizona, and Austin, Texas. And they've announced 10 more cities. The next one being Miami, Florida. So I'll be in Florida by the end of the year, and I hope to be using some Waymos down in Florida as well. So what happened is you open the app, it's like Uber, and then it already mentions there's a car X minutes away from you, either 5 minutes or 8 minutes or whatnot. So you already know, if you ask for a ride, how many minutes will it take? Now, when you ask for the car, if it's an Uber, it will tell you your driver, James Hannes, is coming on his Honda Accord. Now, with Waymo, since every car is the same model, every car is the same color, it just tells you a car is arriving in 5 minutes. Now, since they're managing, only in San Francisco, they had 300 cars. Since they're managing all those cars at the same time, maybe somebody interrupts a ride, maybe a car changes route, then while we're waiting for your car, sometimes it will tell you, okay, I got a faster car for you. You don't need to wait 5 minutes, just 2 minutes. And then this other car comes and picks you up. So this is one thing that's very different when you're considering a flotilla. I don't know how to call it, the like a beehive, the hive of cars right? The collective of cars working is that any car can appear, and it doesn't change your experience. Now, when the car gets to you, you have an app. You click unlock on the doors. Now, James, get that. The door handle only appears when you click on the button. So you're the only one who can open the car. So now you open the car, get into the car. I was traveling with family, so myself, wife, and 2 kids. That's the limit, 4 passengers. And we did use the 3 seats on the back and the seat of the passenger. But the seat of the driver cannot be taken. Now, I think I have to mention, there's no driver, right? There's no one sitting behind that wheel. So the seat is very close to the wheel, which is fun. And now the wheel is turning by itself. You can see the pedals, the brake and accelerator moving all the time. And it simply goes. Now, the first 30 seconds, I'll be honest with you. You kind of hold to your seat, you hold on the top here by the window because you don't know what's happening. And now this car in the city maybe hit, I don't know, 25, 30 miles per hour. But when I reached the interstate, it went up to 65, which was the speed limit, right? But get that, James. We were on the interstate, on the highway, and now the driver, the Waymo driver, the AI driver, didn't calculate, again, they're very good at calculating, didn't calculate the entrance to the exit, and there was a big line of cars behind. So if it were to wait to get to the exit, it will probably have to stop in the middle of the highway, which is something you don't want to do, right? Or lose the exit, which is something you don't want to do as well. No. Guess what? Pedal to the metal. It went up to 73 miles per hour, jumped right in front of the other cars, and bam, out of the exit on time. No dangers. It was a calculated move. So, fast, right? My heart was like, when you your heart skips a beat. That's how I felt.
Like the roller coaster. Like,
yes. And everybody's silent. And then another fun fact. Once you get into the car, there's a display that says, you can sing as loud as you want. Nobody's listening. So you can feel the privacy of the car. You got that?
Or you can scream as loud as you want to. Nobody cares.
That's it. Yeah. But the funny thing is, while we are in the city, downtown, everybody's taking photos of those cars because it's still a crazy. I took, I don't know, 7 or 8 rides, but still, it's still a big surprise, James, to see everything working smoothly. At all times, we took cars at, I don't know, 9 p.m., 6 in the morning. We couldn't go to the airport though, because Waymo couldn't make a partnership with the airport because the Uber drivers are defending their position. It's not a technical issue; it's more of a policy issue. But we went everywhere in the Bay Area with the Waymos. So this is something. And another thing is, how much do you think it costs? If a Uber ride is $30, how much do you think I'm paying for a Waymo?
Well, the beautiful thing that I know about technology is it has this amazing ability to bring costs down. And so to say that I'm not paying the driver, the human driver, that's going to save some money for sure. I don't know how much, but yeah, tell us.
I did the effort. I took the effort. So every time I went into a Waymo, while I was waiting, I tried to get an Uber. If an Uber was $30, Waymo was $25.
Nice.
All the time.
$5 back in your pocket.
20 to 30% less expensive to ride a Waymo. So guess what? Everybody's using it all the time. Not only you can scream as loud as you can, you pay less expensive, but less money.
And in America, how people are here about giving tips, right? And human drivers want tips. What about the Waymo?
No tips.
Yay! No tips.
Not even the possibility. Not even if you want, you can tip the invisible driver. Now, see that, James. I'm talking about Waymo because I have a point here. Of course, a fun story and all. But there's a very important point here, because you mentioned AI as a tool, which is an important point of view. And now I want to mention another different point of view, which is you have this car doing this rides less expensive than a human beings. Do you think that this creature called Homo sapiens, do you think our cognitive skills, the brain we got inside our skull, our ability with our hands and feet, the empathy power that we have into connecting to other human beings, do you really think we were created to be sitting behind a wheel, driving people around all day?
No,
Right?
absolutely.
I think we are old more than that. I think we are creating, again, I'm going to use some word that you used before, stepping stones for a world where we won't be needing to have somebody 100% of the time driving. And that's driving, right? But let's say exploring a mine, a very dangerous space with toxic gases. Remember the Chilean guys who got stuck into the mine?
Yep.
Because we were extracting stuff. So now you don't need to get people inside mines as long as we have self-driving cars, or what I'm going to go to China to find out by myself, humanoid robots, which is our next topic.
Oh man. And just think, one day the plane will be flying by itself. Can you imagine?
And some people, James, would say that, oh, but I wouldn't board a plane if AI was piloting it. Okay, so let's talk about safety, because this is something very important. Of course, I'll not talk about the plane, but talk about the car, but you can make a comparison. So jumping into a car that drives by itself, that can take that can go as up as 73 miles per hour in a highway, ooh, that's scary for a lot of people. And as I told you, first 30 seconds, I was scared as hell. 30 seconds later, 100% comfortable with everything, because I saw it stopping for a bike, for a scooter, for people crossing from the sidewalk unexpectedly. It could figure stuff like that out. But the thing is, if a human driver drives for his whole professional life, let's say 40 years driving every day, at the end of 40 years, they'll probably have driven 1 million miles. For the Brazilians watching us, 1.5 million kilometers. Now, Waymo cars have driven in collective 30 million miles. That's 30 times more than the most experienced driver you can imagine.
So you're saying basically, like, this is a collective data. This is
a hive mind.
Waymo's is basically like one intelligent driver combined all of its knowledge into one being.
That's it right there. You get to be driven by a technology that combined has driven 30 million miles and growing, because there are 300 cars only in San Francisco every day. So they're going to reach 40 miles and 50 miles. Now, do you think any human being, I don't know, maybe Ayrton Senna, old Brazilian idol we had on the tracks.
Yeah. Just watch.
I don't know, an American driver, well-known American driver.
Dale Earnhardt. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe those guys are, but now try to think of the average driver. There's no way they can compete with 30 million miles. So you're really getting to be driven by the most experienced driver ever. Not human. It's the AI, it's a computer, it's a system. People will ask about stopping for people. Oh, but what about that dilemma? If it has to run over a person, or this old lady, or these kids and whatnot. This is not the kind of decision this car has been having to have. So, man, it was really a thing to experience that.
That's amazing. I can only imagine the how this is going to catch on, because what you basically said is, once I learned that I could trust, I relaxed, and I think that's what happens with every piece of new tool we use. You know, it makes me think back to the time, you know, I don't know how the carrinho, the buggy for the supermercado, the buggy.
Okay.
You know,
Carrinho de supermercado. All right.
it was technically a new piece of technology at one time, and if you research, you will find out that there were a lot of people afraid to push that buggy. They were scared because they didn't know what was going to happen next. And eventually, as you can see, they're in every supermarket in the world right now. And that's just a very simple thing. So I believe the further or the quicker that we adopt the tech, the faster we can advance, because it's going to take human trust, right, to go there. And that's actually what another reason why we're here is to help people build confidence so that they can trust. You're a leader in the field. You're the guy who stepped into the car. You're here to tell us it's okay. If Kenneth can do it, I can do it. Right?
That's awesome. And James, about that, I have been studying innovation for 20 years now. So I have seen every other different technology, from the personal computer, then the internet, then mobile phones, and then you had blockchain and big data, and then social media came along, e-commerce, and now generative AI. We had the metaverse before. Remember the VR, mixed reality glasses. So what always happens, and this is like, I can see it as a repeating. They say history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. So I've been hearing the same tune, the same rhyme all the time, which is, you have people that will be the innovators. Those are the people inside the university, the research labs, the R&D departments into companies that are really creating this stuff for us consumers. Then you have this is around 2% of the population. Now you have a second group, which is called the early adopters, which is the group we're both into. We are screening whatever is happening in the world. We're listening to news. And sometimes somebody told me, some time ago, somebody said Waymo. And I'm like, Waymo, okay, let me look into that. And then somebody said GPT, generative pre-trained transformer. That's in my brain. Now the metaverse and the glasses, I go there. So we're scanning this new technology with our radar. And once it shows itself useful, like $25 other than $30 for a Uber ride, love it. Or ChatGPT improving our productivity in the workplace, in writing books, as you mentioned, practicing for contests, as you talked, that's when we adopt it. But now we are the most important group in that space regarding the next group, because early adopters are usually 13% of the population. So 2% innovators, 13% early adopters, that's 15%. Now, there's another group called the majority, which is 70% of the world's population. Now, those guys will only jump into a new tech if they see Kenneth using it, if they see James posting about it. So being an early adopter and assuming this role as an influencer in the original sense of the word, a person that influences decisions, that's what makes 70% of the world to adopt it. Yeah. And there's the last group. If you add the numbers, there's still 15% less. Those are the laggards, the ones that will only adopt the technology if they're forced to. If somebody holds their neck and said, you have to use WhatsApp because everybody's using, and they're going to use. So this is the curve of technology adoption. I've been seeing that for 20 years.
It's amazing, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is help build the bridge. Even maybe the people listening to this have already entered that early adopters group. But there's different levels of that, right? There's people come in and play with it, and we want to stir up that curiosity, that interest, and push you further closer to that 2%, right? Getting closer to Silicon Valley, getting closer to the source, because the closer you get to the source, the warmer the fire, and the warmer the fire, the more energy you'll have and the more ability. And that's exactly what
I think I may add something. There's a trend in marketing, digital marketing now, which is people are moving from social media in the original sense, like you have a feed of content and then you like or you share. They're moving to more closed spaces. I'm mentioning WhatsApp group. I'm sharing on the screen right now and in a comment in the video here, the link to our Global Bridge Leaders community in WhatsApp
Great.
because people are moving into these communities. Now, what they want is a safer space for they to share, to really have a social experience. Because your experience with Instagram right now, or either TikTok, you're just watching content. You're just being hit by content all the time. You're not sharing with other people. Now, in the group, we help each other grow. We can mention a story or a detail that will make the world of a difference for the person on the other side. So I really see this as a next stage of marketing where we have to understand these communities. We have to be a part of the communities. And of course, communities will form regarding common goals, which I think we have in Global Bridge Leaders, where James is talking to leaders every day. I'm talking to leaders every day. And we've seen their pain. We understand that they have to be more and more connected. China as a provider of technology, India as a provider of services, Brazil as this new birth of technology as well, all connected to the largest consumer market in the world, which is the United States. We'll go for England if you want to learn more about financial markets. So we are in the global arena now. And having the possibility to connect to people that speak English, speak in English, and are helping the others in the group to grow, I think this is where I want to be. And I think that's probably the main reason why we created Global Bridge Leaders, right, Ace?
Absolutely. I mean, it's really exciting to get around other people who want to learn. So if you're either thinking about learning for a long time or already actively doing it, it's the right place. Because once you get around the right group, your right tribe of people, you will see yourself thriving. I know that Kenneth and myself both are active learners, and we enjoy that. And we want to share that energy and that enthusiasm with you guys moving forward.
That's amazing. Well, guys, I think we may wrap it up this first meeting, the Global Bridge Leaders. I hope, James, we get to do this more times. We're definitely going to invite people from the community over so we can share this online as well. We have been organizing some Google Meets. Those are closed events. But the idea, again, needing a safer space, because this is public on YouTube right now, but we're going to be surely creating this space and do more and more of this so we can practice, so we can grow together.
Thank you very much.